Welcome back into the film room. I'm your host, Eric Turner. We have a special episode today. We're going to start doing some breakdowns, some film breakdowns with some of the players in the 2022 NFL draft. And we're going to start this week with tight end from Iowa State, Charlie Kolar. What's going on, brother? Welcome into the film room.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Eric. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I've been scouring over your film the last couple weeks, and I've been super impressed with a lot of your traits, your route running, obviously your size. It's natural for you, 6'6.5", 252 pounds, and I know coming into college, you weren't that big, you weren't 252 pounds. You gained some weight over the years, you put on some muscle, which is great to see. Yeah, you're physically developing. What did you come into college in as far as your size?
I don't actually remember totally. I think it was probably like 235, 240. I played this year like 255 or 260. So I put on about 20 or 25 pounds and I cut down a little bit for pro day and stuff. But no, it was a good strength program.
Yeah, and at your pro day, you ran 4.6740, I believe.
They told me my official time was 462. I was just trying to run as fast as possible.
I know it's difficult to just run a 40 because it's a lot different when you have 250-pound linebackers chasing you or safety chasing you, and your play speed's a little different than just straight line speed. At your pro day, but I mean that's an impressive. Either way, 4.62, 4.67. That's impressive at your size and height. A 9.75 RAS score. Kind of showing your athleticism. And again, when you turn on the film, we see your athleticism, we see your size, but it's just I'm impressed at the way you move. And they used you a lot, in the slot. And we're going to get to that here in a few minutes. But I want to talk about growing up in Norman, Oklahoma. You're a big Sooners fan, self-admittedly, and I just feel like being a Sooners fan, growing up in that kind of culture and that football, royalty in a sense. It's very similar to being a Bills fan. Like if people that are born in the Western New York area are naturally, Bills fans, and so talk about growing up in that area, what Sooners football meant to you, and just everything that comes with that Sooners culture and being a fan of that team.
Yeah, I feel like most people who play sports they gravitate towards the nearest sports team. Yeah, and I was a big Sooners fan. I was classic throwing the remote when they lost, and just classic fan stuff. My
Yeah.
parents, my dad works there, and like we grew up in Norman, so like, we were fans of Brett Beaumont, Sam Bradford, DeMarco Murray, all the guys growing up. And it was definitely interesting because like when I got on the other side of it, playing in college, you realize just how much like what the fans see and what the players see is just so much
Sure.
different. But no, it definitely got me into college. People always ask me what my favorite NFL team was growing up. I didn't really have one because Oklahoma doesn't have a sports team. So like I was a Thunder fan, but I don't really have an NFL team. It was more of a college.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you have connections to Oklahoma and the university there. Talk about that real briefly. You got your degree in mechanical engineering, I read, and with a minor in biomedical engineering. You had a 3.99 GPA. Obviously, a very intelligent guy. With the books, and obviously you're going to see some of the film. He has that intelligence on the field as well. But talk about your family and your connections to the university.
Yeah, I'm really close to my family. I'm the second of five kids. I got three brothers and one sister, and but both my parents. My dad teaches at OU. He's a chair of civil engineering. My mom is a law professor at Oklahoma City University. So yeah, academics are they're no slouch in my house. But it's just I was really blessed to grow up in a two-parent household, with parents who support me and care for me and great siblings. And so no, I was just about I've been blessed and lucky and set me up for the life I'm having right now.
Right. And I mean, you came from a great family, some great role models, and you chose to go to Iowa State and play football under Matt Campbell. And I'm glad you mentioned, the role models in your life, your family, and how you had a really stable household and upbringing. Because when you went to Iowa State, Matt Campbell had pretty much just gotten there, and you were one of the first recruits to kind of turn things around there and build a new culture. Which, as Bills fans, we understand that because Sean McDermott kind of did the same thing. And honestly, Matt Campbell, he kind of reminds me of Sean McDermott in many ways, and the way they coach and their discipline and just the way they command accountability within the team. So talk about playing under Matt Campbell and how how much it meant to you to be part of that, one of those first few classes of him to change the culture at Ames.
Yeah, it was, I love Coach Campbell. I mean, I love the staff and they're recruiting me. I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say I had a lot of offers. I was like my only offer on the spot, so it was like I was. But I'm glad that I ended up there because, like, and I think I would have got more recruiting if I, kept my recruiting open and kept taking visits. But I visited there my junior year and I loved it, and so I just
Mhm.
committed. I didn't need to see other places, and I thought the idea, you talked about of building something and trying to be like changing the culture you talk about and setting up for success is really fascinating. I love that, and I also like Coach Campbell. Gets all the credit, but one of the best things he does is like his leadership permeates the rest of his staff, and they all do the same stuff, and that's what's what makes him so good.
Yeah, I love that. And Sean McDermott's very much in the same way. He delegates and trusts that his staff, and NFL's a little different in some ways, but the locker room is really what runs the team. It's not the coaching staff, really. The locker room, and that's why it's so important to bring in guys like yourself that when you want to change a culture, because you want them to self manage each other, as far as they're professionals. So they should be able to do that. So that's great to hear. Again, the parallels between Matt Campbell and Sean McDermott are fascinating. I think they're very, very much alike when it comes to leadership qualities. So let's talk about your production, yeah, on the field. So you had 169 receptions for 2,189 yards. That's 13 yards per reception, and 23 touchdowns over the course of your career, according to Pro Football Focus. You had a lot of success, and I think the way they used you is interesting to me because it's something, again, it's another parallel that we may see as Bills fans. You guys used multiple tight ends a lot of the time, a lot of 12 personnel, a lot of 13 personnel at times, and they used you all over the field. You're in the slot 53.2% of the time. They had you out wide 8.7% of the time, inline 34.9% of the time. So talk about that system that you played in under Matt Campbell and the offensive staff there, and how they used you particularly.
Yeah, I had great coaches. I was blessed. They put me in positions to have success, and they put my teammates in positions to have success. We talk a lot about players, formations, plays in terms of we want to put the players we want to play in the best formations and the best possible plays. And like from year to year, our personnel and everything looks different. Like when we first got there, we played in tons of 10 personnel, 11
Hmm.
personnel. And this past year, I think we were 75%, 12 and 13. So, it's just that, just the evolution of the position was like
Sure.
myself and Chase Allen and Dylan Sainer and now Jerry Russ guys who are more and more tight end this offense. We played more and more heavy personnel. And I think that's a testament to like our coaching staff. Our coach Mauser's doing a great job, and our offensive coordinator, Coach Manning. But yeah, I mean, they did a really good job. We're very multiple. We do a lot of, they don't see a lot of 13 personnel and 3-by-1 flexed out formations that we
Right.
did. So I think it makes it tough on defenses like personnels and stuff. You have to make a decision of where you want your mismatch to be, whether in size or out wide. So yeah, our coaches did a really good job of manipulating the people and the personnel to put us in advantageous situations.
Totally. That's, again, you said it. It's the testament to the coaching staff and what personnel they have, putting them in the best position to succeed. And again, it's something that I think Bills fans, it's going to hit close to home on that 12 and 13 personnel piece, because the Bills are kind of changing their personnel a little bit. They let Cole Beasley go, and they have some other pieces that have come in, adding OJ Howard as that second tight end behind Dawson Knox, but a lot of fans and even the staff has said that they want to be more physical and they kind of want to rebrand. And to a lot of us that break down film and analyze it, we're expecting a little more 12 personnel, which is another reason why I wanted to talk to you. You talked about that scheme that they put you in this past year, a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. And I kind of liken your scheme this past year to more of like a big spread system, because as you said, you were in heavy personnel, but they had you flexed all over the place, and the other tight ends on your squad. And I think that's going to translate well for your game at the next level, because a lot of defenses that over the last few years have gotten lighter. They're playing a lot more two shell, and so teams, the offenses now have to catch up and say, okay, how do we counteract that? And one way to do that is 12 personnel, and another way to do that is to be able to spread those guys out and still be able to run the ball and have mismatches, whether it's a tight end on a linebacker, a tight end on a safety, in the passing game, but also as blockers and, getting the ball to your running back, whether it's on inside zone, up the middle, or on the perimeter on those swing screens that you guys ran a lot of and you were a part of, and being able to block out in space. I think your game translates really well to some of the tendencies that are going to be showing up by offenses at the next level. So, without further ado, Charlie, I want to get into the film and talk about some of the nuance to your game as a route runner. So let's jump into the film. All right, Charlie. First play we're going to take a look at. Again, we're going to be highlighting your route running and how you attack leverage, how you can get yourself into the seams, which I think is really big at the next level. With your height, you're a guy that can go down the seam, and you're a reliable catcher. You don't have many drops to your career. So, first play, 3rd and 7. I want you to talk and walk us through how you attack the leverage of this defender in the slot here. You used your eyes, you used your route running ability and your body control. So walk us through this route as I let it run here.
Yeah, so this was we like to play a lot in our third and medium this game, just the way the defense works. So we started out with 3-by-1 and motioned to 2-by-2. We did a
Yep.
lot of that this year, just this easy man zone tell. OU is a little unique because they don't actually run with guys when they're in man. When there's a motion, they just rock and roll their three
Rock and
safeties.
roll. Yes.
So like, there's a little difference to this team, but we knew like what it was, and also there's man eyes all across the board. So it's obviously man. And then I knew like I already run I think 2 or 3 slants this game so far, and we called like an 8 to 10 yard out route. And so I knew that even though he was playing outside leverage, like a half man outside, I knew that if I just gave him like a running jab with my eyes inside, I would get him off his line, and then I just need to work back vertical through his outside shoulder to stack him to break out. Like the worst thing I could have, like the only thing that would have made this route not work as if I would have made my move and then broke out because he probably could have reacted in time. But by getting back vertical after I make the inside jab, I get his hips totally flipped vertical, which makes it harder for him to break out. Like, so I knew that if I could just get him off his line just a yard and then work back vertical through his outside, then I could get his hips where I want to be and I could come out flat. And I mean, Brock throws a perfect ball here. It's on time, in stride, and it works out. But yeah, I just knew I just needed to recreate my leverage because he had outside leverage to start.
Yeah, that's some great details in that. Again, here's the motion. You see the safeties basically rock and roll, the DBs rock and roll. It's something he saw on film, as he said, and I love your hands. It's something we're going to talk about on several of these plays. I know this was a perfectly placed ball, but you catch just about every ball with your hands. You don't have many drops to your career, and when you add the reliability and the route running, like you saw in that play, it's incredible stuff. So with the next play, it's a similar variation, and something we're going to talk about throughout this film room is how you make those routes look the same. You talked about running slants a couple times in the game, and you made it look very similar, and then snapped it off. It's kind of similar on this play, and this almost looks like a flood variation, but with the number receiver kind of working to the post there. But this, how you set up defenders to get to where you want to go, and you see that defender kind of sliding to his left, taking away inside route, and that's fine. Take it away. You see him use his eyes and then break out wide there. Again, similar looking route to that first play, right, Charlie?
Yeah, so this concept showed up later in the plays that you showed me, but this is a little different. So very similar in terms of the end result. But for this one, it's like a call like a fake crosser out route or like different things. So like it plays like you said, like we like to talk like you hit the nail on the head. We want to talk about like if you pause the film on there's certain routes that if you pause the film at 6 to 10 yards, you can't tell what you're gonna run. Like you
All
should
right,
be able to I should be able to pause this film if I didn't know this play, like, oh shoot, I'm running a Dover or a deep cross or whatever.
all right.
So that's what you want to sell. So in this route, it changes in man and zone. It to me, it looks like it might be man, but I checked the pre-snap in the corner and like his depth is. I had a feeling it was some type of cover 2 or 2 man variation. I don't know. I had a feeling there was going to be a cloud corner
Hmm.
outside of me that was sitting down, like just the way he has been playing this game, and also like they don't play a lot of 2 man at OU, and so when I saw the safety over the top of me bail to 25 yards deep, it wasn't man. So I knew that the guy on me might be playing man, but there was still a guy outside of me. So I don't actually know. I think it was a little bit of an MA by the nickel, but I'm not sure. So I knew that first of all, I had the man over the top of me, and I want to sell the crosser. So just in case it is man, I want to sell the crosser. So I attack his inside shoulder because I really, like I said, I want to get his hips turned into a point where if I break out on this, he either has to baseball turn over the top or flip his hips inside, which is going to be difficult to make it fast enough.
Sure.
So I know that when I see his hips, his right leg cross his left leg, I have the leverage I want and I break out. So up to this point, I'm still assuming man. But then when I get here, I come out of my route and I see this shell up top between the safety and this corner, and it looks like some type of two variation to me. So
Mm,
I know that once I break off right here, I have to settle down in this hash to number zone. And this is where it helps. I played with Rock for so long. Is like I'm supposed to run out of this route most of
mhm.
the time, but like Brock and I can both feel the corner sitting there, and that's when like the years of playing together helps out. And I just tempo my route down. He puts it on my left shoulder, and I just sit down for the first down.
Yeah, I love this, the detail in that because, yes, you made it look like an over out and then you snap it off, but your processing's next level, and that's why when you talk about 40 speed versus play speed, your mental processing has a lot to do with play speed and how quickly you can play. And this is the type of stuff, the type of calculations that go on. As you're breaking out here, you're getting your eyes on that cloud corner, maybe some kind of trap coming here, where almost like a palms coverage, where that safety is going to roll over top, corner is going to trap that out route, and then you throttle down in that zone. That's just great processing by you. And again, catching it with your hands, securing it for the catch, and by the time you catch it and settle down there inside the numbers, you're able to spin back inside. That kind of shows fans that are watching this like how much you throttled down when if someone that is not looking out ahead of them could have ran right into that cloud corner and maybe even ran into a big hit, and that pass maybe gets broken up. So great work by you on that route. Here's the deep over out. So again, very very similar. Again, maybe not exactly the same concept, but you guys are down 7 points here. There's only a minute and 41 left in the game. Similar route stem, but this time it's that over route. But I love how you use your length on this play and the next play to create separation on that defender. So walk us through what coverage you saw here and what you saw from that defender as he came to the middle of the field.
Yeah, so this is like we talked about in the last round. This is playing off the same stem, the deep over stem. This time I'm running a deep over. So the defender actually does a good job here. I'm not expecting him to sit in the hole as much as he does. So I actually make my break at like 7 yards to cross his face, and I'm trying to use the ref as a pick. But he does a good job of jumping up, taking away the ref, and so I have to kind of just redirect and just try to throw by and go over the top of him. But then once I get over the top of him, do a good job of like setting an angle high so Brock can throw it up. Like so, I wanted to cross his face and kind of keep it a little flatter.
Flatter.
Just with the way the route changed up, I just had to keep it higher so Brock could do it. And Brock did a good job of just putting a spot where we talk about, you see this a lot on quarters and stuff on corners and stuff like that, is as long as the receiver sets the route at a good angle high, the QB can throw you flat, and it's way easier to redirect flat than it is to redirect high. So yeah, this DB did a good job of taking away the like I probably showed this on tendency when my split was this tight, but I just tried to just throw by his opposite shoulder in the last second and just redirect over the top of him, and Brock did a good job.
And we talk about your length. I think you measure what 34 and a half inch arm length at your pro day.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we see it at the catch point. Brock could throw it up to you over the middle. Trust that you'll bring it down. Use your long arms, and I just love how you pluck the ball out of the air. But you also use that length, as you can see from this end zone angle, to create separation, and that's important at the next level. Using those long arms to create that separation. That defender does a good job of shutting down the middle of the field there, and you work over the top. And as he's flipping there, you throw right there. You kind of throw him by, and look at that separation, guys. That creates. I love that using that length in all facets of your game, and again, giving your quarterback a good spot, some green to throw to, um, kind of locks in that separation that you created with your length. Just a great play, and again, playing on that route stem, something that we've been talking about since the beginning of this breakdown. So next play, you kind of run. I mean, I don't know if this is supposed to be an out route or a stick route, but you're in the slot again. Again, something that you did a lot of, and I think that translates really well at the next level. But again, watch how he sets up this route. Watch how he attacks the leverage. You see that defender once again jump to the middle of the field. You break back outside and kind of push. You push towards the middle first, towards the logo there, and then kind of stick it out wide on a little return or pivot route. Talk about this route and what you saw from the coverage.
Yeah, so this is like the same thing as like the deep over and the out route we showed on the end zone going to the right. Like we want to settle like same thing. You can pause the film right here. I can
Mhm.
run a deep over, I can run it out, I can run a stick, and that's like kind of what we want to sell in these routes with these stems and these vertical stems. Is we want to give the illusion like they don't know what we're doing, and we want to just create a little seed of doubt in the defensive back's mind, and that's all you need is a yard of separation. So in this one, I'm running like you talked about, like a stick, like Jason Witten, Antonio Gates. They were in this
Y
route.
option.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why optional. They're in this route for years, and so I know that if I the way they play, this is a little unique because I think that I think it's I'm not sure in this play because they this was the um this was the last drive of the game I think 'cause they started
Hmm.
playing a little bit of coverages because they're not really a two man team, but I think it was some variation of two man.
Yeah.
So I knew that like this guy wanted to kind of sit on my hip. You know how you play two man, you trail, and you let the safeties over the
Yep.
top of you. So I knew that I wanted to close the separation with him when I saw that he was sitting like that. So I just tried to work towards his. Once I get my stem 8 to 10 yards, I just try to work like you're drawing up, work that deep crosser route. And if I can't get him to turn his hips, at least get into him so I can, be physical and try to get him off his spot and create the separation that I want. And then when I get out of the route, just work back out at a friendly angle for Brock. And I think he throws his ball to Chase or someone here, but I'm just trying to uh, give Brock a target where he has space, but I'm not running all the way into the corner on the outside.
Yeah, and again, you sat and found that area. You don't get the ball there, but I just wanted to show that nuance and your thinking behind that because yes, this was late in the game, and you were just so in tune to what they are running and how they switch up their coverages a little more. And you talk about those deep over routes and some of the stick routes and curl routes that you guys made to look similar. It's just interesting to see how the different adjustments that and leeway they gave you when you ran those option routes. I just love every little thing about this, about your route running in this scheme, in this system. So the next play is another play. You use that length to create that separation. Again, you're in the slot, and I talked about your hands. Five five drops over the course of your career, according to Pro Football Focus, on 256 targets. Five drops. That's 2.9%. Just an incredible number and really shows your reliability as a pass catcher. And kind of like that last play, we're going to see you run almost a similar route here. And I just, again, love how you throttle down before you hit that corner and you're able to catch the ball with your hands and protect yourself, protect the ball, keep and shield the ball really from those defenders. So walk us through the route here late in the game and how and why you secured that ball as that corner was kind of closing in.
Yeah, so this is the same route that I ran like 3 plays earlier on the one where we talked about throttling down the two. It's the
Hmm.
same route, same call. So faking the deep crosser, but he does a good job. Like I think that I don't know if he has if he thinks it's outside help or inside help or what, but he just basically keeps playing backpedaling until if I was running over here, I mean his hips are totally locked out. I'm not sure we would have done, but I don't know if he guessed right or what. So he sits. So I just know that like it's the middle of the field and there's always contact at these catch points of like not the catch point of the ball, like the catch point where he's catching me
Hmm.
is like if I can just get his like outside shoulder picked a little bit or just his arm off of his line, like they're not going to call collisions for OPI or DPI in the middle of the field in college.
Yeah.
There's just too much crap. Like you can't call it. So I just try to pick his outside shoulder a little bit and knock his outside arm down, which like just gets him off his line just a little bit. And then it's the same thing I talked about earlier, where there's corners throttling down. I try to throttle down. I thought I was going to be able to. I thought I was going to be able to catch and sneak back inside, but he got my helmet. But
Yeah.
no, it's what we talk about a lot. Like talk about catching the ball. I have the length of these TVs. I have to use it. So you got to extend your hands to catch the ball. Like it's obviously it's way easier to catch the ball in your body than it is to catch with your hands extended. But if you catch with your ball in your body, you're giving away the length that you have. So
Yeah, and as I said, that's one of your strongest traits, your hands, and you use your route running to get in those seams. I know a lot of these plays are kind of outbreaking routes, but I just love how you can get into the seam versus zone coverages and work the middle of the field, especially with your length. I mean, you're a quarterback's best friend work in the middle of the field from the slot, especially, and adding in your reliability with your hands. And I can see where you're trying to spin back inside here. You catch with your hands, and you're already planning to kind of cut back inside, but he does kind of hog tie you there from the helmet up high. But just another great route from you in that on that play. And this is the last one of the last plays of the game. It's a 4th and 6 situation. Similar route package from the slot. Um, but I want you to talk about how this offense really, especially this year, it seemed like anytime they needed a big play, it was you. That mental toughness and what it takes to do that in a game, especially a game like this, because this is against Oklahoma, as we talked about. You grew up a Sooners fan, like the way this game unfolded and how they kept coming to you and you kept producing. You had to feel good about that.
Yeah, it's like it's when you're in the moment, like you don't think about like, oh wow,
Sure.
the Sooners fan, like you just think about the next. Like I'm pretty sure these are all, like pretty sure these plays are all in a row because we got sacked on first down, and it was 2nd 19, and then 3rd and 19. I assume this is just the next play. So this is the same route we talked about earlier with the Y option, just a different look. I think this was zone coverage, if I remember correctly, but
Yep.
yeah, they put like a Tampa,
Kind of
some type of
push.
Tampa two
Yep.
variation, and so it's the same route, but it's just not man. It's like I see him break out, I realize it's zone, I have to curl inside the mic, and then they just leave. I don't know whose responsibility it is, but there's some miscommunication from the mic and the will.
Yeah.
I just sit in the zone, and then um, yeah, just try to sit in the zone. I should have got more yards after catch here, but I just wanted to secure the catch. So, but yeah, it was just the same call, the Y option call, and it opened up, and so I just sat down for Brock, and I know it's not a great route here, I should have just kind of back into the route, the top of my route, but like right here at the top, I should have just sat down on my feet. It's not a great route if someone's on my back, but it worked out.
Okay. All right. No, that makes sense. And again, this is the last play of this drive, but it seemed like this game, especially 4th down situations, any crucial money downs that came to you, and you just somehow, whether it was man or zone, as you talked about, you found that green, you found that crease versus the coverage, and that again, it's a testament to your processing, as a lot of these fans, Bills fans, are going to understand after watching this film, that there's a lot of details that goes into that, and that's why we love to have guys like yourself on to kind of break down and dive into those details and break down this complicated game for us. So we appreciate you joining us in the film room, man. So with that said, man, what are you doing for the draft, brother? Let's wrap this up with talk about what you're doing for the draft, and I'm sure your family's gonna be around you.
Yeah, I'm just at home with my family,
Man.
no friend. It'll be very small, like five or 10 of us. I just heard that big draft parties, unless you're like a top 10 guy, big draft parties can be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna keep my family. My grandma's coming, my girlfriend, but besides that, it'll be very, very small.
What type of meetings have you had with teams? Like, is this something every day that you have so many Zoom meetings or meetings in person visits? Like, what type of things do you have going on as far as pre-draft visits?
It's starting to wrap up. It was, I went to the Senior Bowl and the Combine, so
Yeah,
I've met with every team in some aspects. I met with almost every tight end coach. Um, met with the Bills tight end coach in both the formal, the Combine, and on Zoom. And yeah, I mean it's great. I mean most of the coaches have been really good. I mean not just interviewing you, but also I'll just like ask them myself like what do they think I need to work on, even if I don't play for them. Just like getting everyone's input. And so it's been great. Just a combination of you have your in person interviews at the combine and Senior Bowl. You got a couple formals at the combine. You have some visits, and then a lot of Zooms. Like people are going to
yeah,
Zoom a lot. And, I mean, it's pretty easy. It saves a
yeah.
flight across the country, and it accomplishes the same goal. So
Yeah, I mean, a lot of fans that are going to watch this, they're going to realize that hey, this is very much like a Zoom, and you can get a lot of things done, especially when it comes to talking about the game from the shoulders up. You met with these teams, as you said, and they got to know your character and the personal side of things. So talking football and some of the responsibilities that you had in that offense at Iowa State is pretty easy to do through Zoom and these type of teleconference programs, but Charlie, man, that was fun. I'm sure the fans are going to learn a lot from you on this, and we appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this with us.
yeah, thanks for having me on. Hope it's a good day out there. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. See ya.